Welcome to BaseballGuys.com. We're hosting Around the Horn, Ray Flowers. Oh, Nelle, in the words of Mr. Jackson from ABC Sports, did we have a night in the world of baseball? I took the night off. I know it's not something I normally do. Kind of shut the computer down about 7 o'clock, went to bed somewhat early, and guess what? I wake up this morning and all hell has broken loose in the world of Major League Baseball. Let's talk about some of the biggest things that have occurred. The obvious biggest news of the day is Hanley Ramirez being traded by the Marlins to the Dodgers. Here the Marlins go again, breaking apart a team filled with a lot of talent. Now, Hanley Ramirez is owed about $39 million to the end of 2014. He's been an issue in the clubhouse. He recently punched a fan in the dugout, hurt his hand, didn't take his medicine for it, got an infection. Just kind of the last straw, as you would say, with the Marlins franchise. They got tired of his acts. Now, it's one thing if you're going 30-30 and being an MVP option. It's another thing to look at Hanley Ramirez and what he's done the last 185 games since the start of last season. A batting average in the 240s, an OPS about 730. I mean, not very good, folks. He's got 24 home runs and 34 steals, in 180 plus games. So while he's on pace to be, a 20-20 guy, something like that, again, a 240 batting average, and a barely 700 OPS does not paint Hanley Ramirez as the player he once was. Dodgers obviously hope that he is still that player. With the injury to D. Gordon, Hanley Ramirez will play shortstop right now. There are a lot of questions if you talk to scouts about whether or not Hanley can actually handle third base. So this is something to keep an eye on defensively. But the Dodgers made a big move. They made a huge move, actually, to try to catch a team like the Giants in the NL West, adding Hanley Ramirez to the mix for the season. Now, the Dodgers had no money. That was the big thing they cried, about all the last couple of years from reports and all that. Well, it looks like they're not done with Hanley Ramirez. Reports suggest the Dodgers are still in on the Ryan Dempster sweepstakes, and we'll talk about that in a second. And all reports also suggest that Hunter Pence or Shane Victorino, two guys that the Phillies might be looking to move, also might be on the Dodgers' radar. So the Dodgers looking to make some huge moves here to try to get into the playoffs this season. Let's talk about Ryan Dempster, who I just brought up. Now, Dempster was traded to the Braves, but he wasn't traded to the Braves. As a player with 10 years of experience and 5 years on one club, Dempster had the option to turn down any trade that was presented to him. And what really happened here is the information came out in the public early. And that's what happens in this day and age with Twitter and all these people reporting stuff. It doesn't look like Ryan Dempster wants to go to the Braves. He wants to go to Dodgers. And so what has happened here, besides the fact my phone is ringing, and I'm going to put that right here in the drawer so I can continue talking to you, live radio people, live video folks. We had the situation occur where the trade goes, Dempster doesn't want to do it. Braves now say, well, you know what? Screw that. We're not going to do that. We're going to go and explore other options. I don't blame the Braves at all. You can't sit there and wait on a guy to accept the deal for days and days and days. So again, the Dodgers are still in the mix with Ryan Dempster. Don't know if he gets sent there, if he gets sent anywhere else. There's also reports out there the Cubs at this point might just say, well, we'll keep Ryan Dempster. We'll get draft pick compensation at the end of the year. Very unclear how this is going to play out, but it does look almost certain at this point that the Dempster to the Braves deal that was worked out is not going to happen. So what do the Braves do? The Braves now say, well, we can get a pitcher. We're going after Zack Greinke, soon to be a free agent. Greinke, questions about his mental makeup, questions about his arm after some big struggles, 14 runs and 14 innings pitched. He went out last night and dominated the Phillies, 7 innings, only gave up 3 hits. It looked very, very good in the 1-run outing against that club. Greinke now rising in people's eyes, rising in the estimation of people that his arm appears to be sound. And again, Atlanta could be an eventual landing spot for the right-hander. Oh, bad news for the Yankees. I'm really so sad to say that. Bad news for the Yankees. Alex Rodriguez was hit by a pitch. It was actually a changeup from Felix Hernandez. Non-displaced fracture in the left hand there. He's out anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. Big blow, obviously, to the Yankees and the fantasy owners. So fantasy owners are going to have to scramble. But the Yankees, what are they going to do? They are in the mix, obviously, to add a third baseman. And one of the big names they've been linked to in the last 12 hours is Chase Headley. Now, Chase Headley, who I love and I've written about extensively at BaseballGuys.com, isn't one of the best third basemen in baseball offensively. He's just not. But he does a little bit of everything. In fact, amongst all third basemen in baseball, do you know how many are hitting 265 with 10 home runs, 50 RBIs, 45 runs scored, and 10 steals? 2. David Wright and Chase Headley. Chase Headley going to the Bronx would be a huge coup, if I can finally say it, for the Yankees. They get a nice bat to replace A-Rod. It would also be great for Headley, who would go from one of the worst hitting parks that's ever been constructed in San Diego to one of the better hitting parks in New York. You'd have to think he'd have a great shot at 20-plus home runs playing in that ballpark, in that lineup. It would be great news for Chase Headley. Cole Hamels, he's a rich man. 6 years, $144 million. The second largest contract ever given to a pitcher in terms of overall value. 7 years, $161 million was the top deal for CC Sabathia. Now, the deal breaks down basically so that Hamels is getting paid the same amount of money per year as Cliffley, $24 million a season. Hamels, 28 years old, almost a strikeout an inning in his career, an ERA under 3.5, a whip of 1.14. Cole Hamels has also thrown at least 193 innings in each of the past 4 seasons. If there is a young lefty in baseball who's deserving of this contract, it is Cole Hamels. However, history is not kind to huge money deals on the mound. We had the 6-year, $137 million deal to Yoenis Santana, and that at best can be called a push, and it's probably a negative even at this point. We had the 7-year, $126 million deal for Barry Zito. Clearly that's a negative. We had the 8-year, $121 million deal for Mike Hampton. That's a negative. We had the 7-year, $105 million deal for Kevin Brown. That's clearly a negative. The only pitcher really that's lived up to one of these massive contracts is CC Sabathia. Can Cole Hamels be the second one? Again, set up to be that guy, but history is not kind to teams that sign pitchers to these huge money deals. Brian Roberts, big time last season, almost went 20-20 in the fantasy team, out of nowhere, has been awful this year for the Diamondbacks, designated for assignment. We now know what's going to happen to him. He's a member of the Tampa Rays. Now with Evan Longoria close to returning to play that third base position, Brian Roberts is not going to have a spot in the everyday lineup with the Rays. He'll be a utility option. AL only leaguers, throw a couple bucks at the guy, corner infield option, some middle infield option, something like that. He'll give you a little bit of a help there versus going to the waiver wire and picking up some guy that doesn't play. But Ryan Roberts is not in store for a big role in his new home with the Rays. Player who is in store with a big role is Wandy Rodriguez, and he's with a new team too. He's now with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates made the move here. Good for the Pirates. I'm glad to see them doing something. They're in second in the Central, trying to really make the playoffs for the first time since 1993 when Barry Bonds left that club. Pretty imposing pitching staff now. You've got McDonald, Burnett, Rodriguez. We've also got depth guys. Well, Eric Bedard, I forgot. How can I forget Eric Bedard? Karstens and Correa is the fifth guy, depending on which direction they want to go there. Pretty solid pitching rotation, obviously, for the Pirates. Wandy Rodriguez not having a great season, though. Last 10 starts, his performance has really dipped. 3.79 ERA, a whip in the 1-2s. Not going to hurt anyone there. But my concern in the fantasy game is the strikeout rate is way down. Now, the ground ball rate's way up. So he's actually offset that. He's also lowered the walk total. So in total, he's pitching fairly similar to what we've seen from him in the recent past. But with the decline in the strikeouts, his value in the fantasy game has gone down a little bit from where it was a couple of months ago. And then finally, 2 guys that I want to talk about since the All-Star break that have absolutely been killing it. Yoenis Cespedes of the A's. Until last night, he was hitting 500 in the second half. He really struggled last night, folks. And now he's only hitting 475 since the All-Star break. 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, an OPS of over 1,300 since the All-Star break. He is rolling for the A's. And then Carlos Santana, you remember him? The massive disappointment in the fantasy game. The guy who let everyone down with a terrible first half. Finally remembering that, oh yeah, I'm a pretty damn good offensive weapon. Since the All-Star break, 12 games played for Santana, an OPS of nearly 1,200. He's hitting over 350. He's gone deep a couple of times. Carlos Santana finally starting to hit like the guy that was taken number 1 at the catcher position by so many people to start the season. I'm Ray Flowers, BaseballGuys.com. Thanks for joining me on Around the Horn. And you know what? That's right. I'll talk to y'all again soon.